Hello, Mr. Rajkiran. Thank you for your time. I would like to begin by asking the formation of NaBFID and what was the intended outcome which you have really thought about when this institution was formed.
Actually, India has experimented with some of the term lending institutions, and the experience was not that good. But then, as the country is evolving, as we are feeling there is a need of a specialized institution because infrastructure investment is going up, and country needs to invest heavily on infra. We need to attract investment to this sector. The government thought about it in 2021 by an act of parliament. NaBFID was created. We are the fifth DFI of this country. We have Exim Bank, NHB, NaBFID and SIDBI before us, created for particular sectors. Like NaBFID does it for agriculture, SIDBI for small industry. Similarly, we are meant to take care of the infrastructure financing needs and the whole ecosystem around ecosystem financing and whatever other enablers are needed. So with that intention, this was created. We were well capitalized from the day one. Government allocated 20,000 crores of capital and 5,000 crores of grant and built a great board to supervise formation of NaBFID. So in the last 1 year, slowly we are building the team and we have operationalized, and thanks to Infosys, now the core banking is also activated. So now actually we can go forward in full force now because one side the processing team is built, the technology team is also we have put together the technology team, and with the cooperation of Infosys, the core banking is also in place. So we should be able to run faster and meet the requirement which government envisaged when this institution is created.
All right, thank you. I think that's very interesting, and I'm sure that this is going to help the nation grow phenomenally in the space of infrastructure development. Can you also please elaborate on NaBFID's vision to address the long-term financing needs of particularly the infrastructure sector in India?
Yeah, actually, that way when you think of infra, you can't think of any infra which is not improving the living standards of people. Because every infra ultimately connects to that. Because our statement is also building India and bettering lives. Actually, the infra, like you think of whether it's water, whether it's road, airport, ports, somewhere it connects to all of us, improving the quality of life. So the long-term financing need is felt more now because actually in between, after the demise of the earlier term lending institutions, the commercial banks and some of the NBFCs were taking care of the infrastructure needs of this country. And we faced certain problems a decade back where the expertise was missing because of that and many other issues, but ultimately it contributed to a lot of stressed assets in the system and all that. So a need was felt that a specialized institution for infra financing has to be created. Now, long-term lending needs long-term resources. Now, actually, both of these are two different things compared to commercial banks. Commercial banks actually raise very short-term resources. And they are meant for lending short term and maybe medium term. So long term financing is not their forte, and because of that they are not developed any specialized knowledge around this, except the largest bank of the country which has some expertise, but otherwise it is not there. So all these learnings actually has ended up in creating this institution. So we are going to put together the team, core team with the necessary skills, so that we raise long-term resources like pension funds, insurance funds, because this is called patient capital, because they can invest money for 25 years, 30 years kind of thing. So we need to raise that kind of resources, both domestically and internationally also. Internationally also, if you see the interest rate scenario, like right now the interest rates are very high because of the central banks are keeping it high. But otherwise, internationally on developed countries, interest rates are typically 1%, 2%. So whereas India can offer much better returns. So that's why actually they are also naturally attracted to invest in India. So we need to provide that ecosystem so that this money, in addition to what we save in India in insurance and pension, the international money should also flow. And we should have that money flowing into infrastructure assets which are long term. And they are giving quite decent returns also. So our main role is to do that. It is called crowding in of investment, because ultimately government cannot go on funding infra. Today, about 85% of the infra spend in the country happens from the government and public sector. The private sector doesn't play a much bigger role in this because of the risks associated with this kind of financing. So now actually our role is actually on the policy advocacy side, helping better products to emerge, and also helping these players to invest and give the right products, develop the bond market around this. So so that actually this money comes in, they feel safe to invest, they get the decent research, and plus actually the government can spend less. Because today this money which is flowing to infra spend from the government can get into other sectors like education, healthcare, because this is a priority to reach our GDP growth goals. Investing in infra is continuously should happen actually. So we are hoping that once we are actively in the in place and start raising resources, start funding, attract private sector into this, government can spend less and private sector can invest more with very good returns, and also the infrastructure growth of the country can be much faster than what we are thinking. Actually, solar and wind or renewable energy sector, just to give you an example, actually our honorable PM has already made a commitment by 2030 50% of our energy will be from renewable sector. Now this involves huge investment. We need billions of dollars for this. Now where is this money coming from? Actually, that is where we need to work so that a lot of international funds also flow into this sector so that we reach those goals. It is not only important for our country, it is for a developing country like ours where energy needs are so high. It is very important that we use renewable energy more, because we will help actually the world to be a better place to live in.
That's right. So very, very remarkably, the objectives and the outcome of the organization is going to help India grow, nation achieve its objective. At the same point of time, it's very, very promising to note that it's going to touch the lives of every Indian. You mentioned all those aspects of areas where the investment is going in, which is going to finally help the life and the facilities which every Indian is going to enjoy in the coming years. So I also want to discuss with you in today's rapidly evolving financial landscape how NaBFID has embraced technology, because all what you said is possible provided you really ride on the technology. Could you please help describe what are the steps you have taken to really get the best of the technology onboarded in NaBFID?
Thank you for that question. Actually, this is very critical for this organization survival, because we are going to work with very narrow margins, because we are not subsidized institution. So naturally, we also raise resources at commercial rates, and we also lend at commercial rates. Like commercial rates are again not decided by me. The whole banking ecosystem is there which decides the final rate. So we are going to work with thin margins. So it is very important to keep the operating cost down actually. So for that actually we may be one of the first major institutions to go totally on cloud. Actually, this is a thought process which our board also thought about it, that to keep the cost down is better to go on cloud. So we actually, I'm very happy to say that we have activated this now last week, and now we are core banked, and being on cloud actually gives a lot of advantages. Basically the cost and then scaling up, because we are growing very fast. As an organization, we have an aim to reach about 4 lakh crore book, actually lending book, 4 lakh crore lending book in next 3 to 4 years time. So that's how so much of capital was given to us. With that, actually, having this kind of technology becomes very important. So to keep the cost down, which we have already done. Plus, actually, we have to have a very lean structure. So that way, even though we pay market-related salaries, we are picking up only the right kind of talent, and we want to have a manpower strength of anything between 150 to 250, depending on the requirements, so that the operating cost is kept very low. Another area where we need is the funds is where the money goes is the credit cost. So your project assessment skills actually have to be very robust. Actually, so now the project actually in infra, the project assessment is done on assumptions. So I don't have a luxury because I'm a commercial banker. When I take a credit decision, I'll have last 5-year balance sheets to depend on to draw a conclusion how this company is doing. But when it comes to infra assets, we don't have that luxury. It's a new project. It's all assumption. So much of traffic will come. So much of power consumption will happen. Like in solar, we depend on sun, radiations, and wind, we depend on wind speed. So a lot of variables around this. So project assessment has to be robust. So now, for that, actually, we have built a good team, good risk management practices and all that. But it's very important to build a database. Basically, we are building infra for at least 2 decades now. Even though we have done earlier, but the much record on lending and whatever has happened in the lending side is last 2 decades old data. Plus, a lot of government departments are also sitting on a lot of data. So now, actually, we are trying to put together a database. First, with the publicly available information, and maybe later date with some regulatory support and government support, get into the database of these institutions if they permit with all the approvals, so that we can work and build a database which will help in better credit assessment. Actually, today we were talking about AI. AI is nothing but data. So for us also, it is our AI. Actually, once you compile all the data, how these particular assets have behaved over a period of time, how their revenue model is working, what are the issues we faced, and how to correct those issues so that the lending happens in the right way. So that is where the technology platform we are building. Another big piece, actually, is I mentioned there is a lot of international money waiting to come, particularly on the renewable and ESG sectors. For that, we need to build a good monitoring system. And we should be able to give a live feedback, to the international investors. Where is their money going? How it is being used, how the projects are getting completed, and how it is contributing to the whole ESG framework. So we need to build that, and this has to be necessarily built on technology platform. So we are all working on that, and the phase 2 of the technology piece, what we are going to do, actually is built on this, so that all that experience of yesteryears gets into this decision-making process, so that we take the right calls, we build the right covenants, and finance the projects which are in the right way, so that the money comes back, so that the investors also get back their money.
Absolutely, yeah. No, thank you. We're really proud to be associated with an organization like NaBFID, which is involved in nation building. And I would also congratulate you for being the pioneer in the space of hosting a co-banking in a cloud architecture landscape. Thank you. Thank you. The shift towards cloud-native architecture is evident across industries. So I would like to know how NaBFID is going to leverage, given that a lot of financial institutions in future is going to follow you.
Yeah, actually, that way I'm very proud that we may be one of the first major financial institution to go totally on cloud. Actually, we don't have a single server in our premises. So that is maybe there are smaller players who would have done it, but that is more on plug and play. Having a full core banking customized for an institution like ours is something like an achievement. I feel very proud and thank all my team and my board for helping us doing it, and Infosys being a pioneer in this. This is going to really change. Actually, maybe for the whole industry, actually, it may be a good learning, because I headed a large institution earlier also, where we were looking at cloud, but then we have that fear that around the security. Because generally we are very comfortable having our data under our lock and key, and everything sitting on premises and kind of thing. So it is a paradigm shift in thinking.
True.
So for bankers, basically, to put the data on cloud and depend on cloud and the security aspects around this. So my personal experience is actually it is, I think, more safe than being on premises. That's a comfort I draw from that, because there are actually particularly the people who are involved in the cloud technology are following international standards, and there is a lot of security around that, and bankers can feel confident to move to cloud whenever they are upgrading or using the new technology. So it is a in thing. So I think the whole of financial system gradually will move towards cloud, because scaling up is easy. A country like India, the kind of data what we are dealing with, number of accounts we are dealing with the kind of middle class actually which is coming in, which will deal more with MSME loans, retail loans. It is millions and billions of transactions and
True.
accounts and all that. So I think for a in-house server to scale up and imagine this kind of things is difficult.
And the cost also comes in, right?
Cost also comes in.
Yeah.
So it is better to go on technology. Another important thing is there are particular days and particular hours where your transactions can be very, very high.
True.
Now you can't build a capacity to meet that few hours of extra load.
True.
Actually, then you are unnecessarily wasting your money building a capacity for few hours in a year where your load will go up to that extent.
And they stay idle most of the days of the year.
Idle is there. So I think it is cloud actually offers that opportunity to scale up quickly and all that. So with that actually in mind, I think the financial system will realize that, and I feel that this will happen. But I think maybe the industry also has to do their part of the job, convincing the bankers, giving them the comfort that the security aspects are taken care. I think only thing which is holding back people is the security concerns.
Yeah, I'm sure, thank you. I'm sure, a lot of your experience will help many others who are actually today sitting on the fence. And I'm sure they're going to really dip into your knowledge, your exposure in terms of firming up their approach for adopting cloud. So thank you for those very insightful inputs. I would also like to hear from you in terms of what's been your experience dealing with Infosys as a technology partner.
It is very good. Actually, I'm not dealing with Infosys for the first time. Actually, my dealing with Infosys has been a great experience for me throughout. Here, actually, this is a process, but then, through a process, Infosys got shortlisted. I'm very happy that Infosys came in. And this is a totally new concept because our requirements are very, very specialized.
True.
Because it is not any other commercial organization where you take a package of Finacle and straight away put into this, because we have very, very specialized needs. Because being a term lending institution, being a project lending institution, so naturally our requirements are very different. We don't need all that commercial banks need, but we need certain things which are much deeper, where Infosys has to customize a lot of things to develop these products. I'm very happy that the teams work together. Like I had a constraint because we didn't have people, because the NaBFID was in a very nascent stage. We didn't have IT team. I was working with 40 people drawn from 12 institutions in different departments, putting them together, and we had only 2-member team from the IT side. But then Infosys cooperated very well, and my top management was fully involved from the beginning to take care of this. So, but both the teams worked together, and now we have much better team. It's much smoother now. But thanks to the Infosys team actually, which really held the hand at that point of time when we didn't have a real good IT team to put together this system. And today, anyway, the fruits are there. So the core banking is ready, up and running. I'm very happy that we'll be able to meet all the regulatory requirements with this. So thank you Infosys for being a part of this journey. And NaBFID will always remember, because we are a new institution, new thought process. We don't have any template to copy. So everything is thought about new, and how to, like, conceptualization was new, visualizing an organization like this, then putting a technology platform around that, and Infosys really came up to our expectation. Thank you.
And in fact, thank you. We really also appreciate the cooperation and the support you've received from you and your team. See, the backbone of the infrastructure is the Cloud 4C, who provided us the cloud infrastructure. What's been your experience in having the Cloud 4C, where we host the entire core banking on Cloud 4C?
Very good. Actually, I should thank them, because they actually fast forwarded my implementation by at least a month, because their systems, even though they predicted certain date, they were ready 1 month ahead. So actually that was the Cloud 4C for me. Actually, I was very happy, because generally we see only delays.
True.
That way, their cooperation was very good. Even actually, we had least problems dealing with them. Actually, even my team will watch for that. Basically, their support was fantastic. While customizing, uploading, and all that would have had problem, but we never faced a problem from their side. I think they're a fantastic service provider, and I'm looking forward that as we go along, actually they will provide much better services, and And as the scale goes up, I hope that they will be able to cope up with our requirements.
Sure. Thank you. I'm sure, both the organizations are going to be fully focused in terms of partnering with you in your journey towards building the nation. Thank you, Mr. Rajkiran.